in Tennessee. But she kind of introduced us long distance, and it wasn't long after that Danny sent me his first book in the mail, and I realized right away that this was a major talent. He's had an interesting, varied career in academia. He was educated at the University of Cincinnati, where he earned a BA in English, and at Johns Hopkins University, where he earned his MA from the Department of Writing Seminars. He spent 8 years from 1990 to 1998 teaching English and creative writing at Del Barton School in Morristown, New Jersey. And during that time, he received a New Jersey Council for the Arts Fellowship and completed his first book of poems, January Rain, which received the Nichols Roerich Prize and was published by Storyline Press in 1997. And I'm sorry, that book is available only in secondhand editions now, I think, and so we don't have it here with us tonight, at least for sale. It's a good book. I highly recommend it. In 1998, he accepted an appointment as a Tennessee Williams Fellow at the University of the South in Sewanee, Tennessee, where he remained as visiting assistant professor in English until 2002, when he became Keenan visiting writer and subsequently visiting lecturer at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. In 2003, he was awarded fellowships from the National Endowment of the Arts and the Bogliasso Foundation. From 2004 to 2006, Mr. Anderson served as the Watkins Endowed Professor of Creative Writing at Murray State University. In 2005, he received the Pushcart Prize for the poem Thorns, Thistles, which originally appeared in the Kenyon Review. And incidentally, that Pushcart Prize was established by the writer Bill Henderson, who used to be around here some when his daughter was a student here. She graduated from Westover in 2002. Mr. Henderson spent the year 2006 teaching as a visiting assistant professor at Kenyon. From 2007 to 2010, he was associate professor of English at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. In addition to his teaching responsibilities there, he also directed the creative writing program and edited the Birmingham Poetry Review. He is currently an associate professor in the creative writing program at the University of Oregon, a position he began in the fall of 2010. His poems have appeared in Poetry, New England Review, the Yale Review, the Carolina Quarterly, the New Republic, the Hudson Review, and other places. He edited the Selected Poems of Howard Nemeroff, which was issued by Ohio University Press, Swallowtail Press in 2003. And he's also published prose in Harper's, the Missouri Review, the Duke and Duke magazine. His second book of poems, Drunken Sunlight, which I highly recommend, was published in November 2006 by Johns Hopkins Press, and his third book of poems, The Night Guard at the Wilberforce Hotel, which is a wonderful book, was published in March of 2014. And the critical response to his work has been enthusiastic. Poet Mary Jo Salter, speaking of his book Drunken Sunlight, states, Daniel Anderson's sensibility is a nostalgic one, but without sentimentality or morbidity. This is a poet who embraces life, loves it too much not to mourn a moment's passing. His imagery is quite literally colorful. It shines with that, quote, bullion luster of the sun, unquote, and even delights in, quote, that shade mulberrying the road sign. Those are passages from the poem. He is a poet to read and reread with pleasure and growing wisdom. And of his most recent book, The Night Guard at the Wilberforce Hotel, one reviewer has said, the poems navigate the evanescent boundaries between the public and private self. Daniel Anderson's settings are often social, but never fail to turn inward, drowning out the chatter of conversation to quietly observe the truths that we simultaneously share and withhold from one another, even as we visit friends, celebrate young couples' reunion, or eavesdrop on the conversation of others. These poems include meditations on teaching hungover undergraduates, wine tasting among snobs, and engaging the war on terror from the comfort of the suburbs. They are alternatively driven by ornamental language that seeks to clarify and crystallize the beauties of our common world, and the poet's faith that fellowship ultimately trumps partisanship. And in the words of poet Morris Manning, the sensory realm of these poems is as subtle as melting snow. The world is muffled and muted. What matters is how the mind goes into the observed world to illuminate it with thought, to stir its flagging passions, and even bring it hope. This is a jolting and beautiful book, one I will go back to again and again. Daniel Anderson has come to us today all the way from Eugene, Oregon. We were fortunate to have him give us a really good poetry workshop this afternoon, and of course we're looking forward to hearing him read tonight. The forecast being as it is for tomorrow, maybe he won't be able to leave Westover as soon as planned, and we might be able to kidnap him and keep him around for the rest of the term, so he can help you all with your lantern. Wouldn't that be great? Anyway, for those who wish to purchase copies of Drunken Sunlight and the Night Guard at the Wilberforce Hotel, they will be on sale over at the table just beyond the chairs here after the reading, and Mr. Anderson will be happy to sign those books. Well, will you join me now in welcoming Daniel Anderson?
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah, we're good. Thanks. Is that too loud? No? Okay. Bruce, thanks so much for the introduction, and I'm so glad to be here. I've been hearing about Westover for years from Liz, my dear friend, and I was so delighted that they could come up and hearing about Bruce for years. And all good. So I'll read for half hour, 40 minutes, and then question and answer if you have any questions. Almost. The man behind me seethed. The lady behind him kept sighing, clicking her high heel on cold linoleum and scowling at her watch. The checkout boy was making change, snap, snap, $1 at a time. He popped each bill between his chubby fingertips, glanced 2 times at the till, then smoothed his singles, 5s, and 10s down on the countertop. Each time, snap, snap. Glance twice and smooth. The line was long and getting longer. 2 guys in John Deere hats showed up, a mother and her infant. Good God, I heard somebody say. For crying out loud, kid. One woman slapped a pack of frozen peas against her cheek. The line was getting longer. A plumber, a cop, 3 busty girls with magazines and Diet Cokes. Did his mother have any children that lived? The man behind me laughed. The lady just kept clicking her high heel. What happened next? I set my basket on the belt. I said, "It's Rodney, right?" He thumbed his name tag. He nodded yes. Hey, Rodney, let's get out of here. Forget these jerks. Forget this crappy job. I tried to coax him out the way that one might coax a bashful, beaten dog to come. It's just a job, I said. I may have even whispered this. Come on, it's just a job. He looked at me as if he didn't understand. It's just a job. And he refused at first. All I could hear was someone cracking gum, light music overhead, the click, click, clicking of a heel. We'll find you something else. After a lengthy pause, he scanned those fierce, exasperated faces in the line. Then finally he agreed. Someone clapped. Another whooped, "Hell yes," and praise the fucking Lord. Oh, I should not have said that. He closed the register, stripped off his smock, then we stepped out into 70 degrees. Viburnum bloomed and honeysuckle bloomed. Young parents strolled their baby down the street and kids played wiffle ball. A frail, teetering man clipped rhododendron blossoms from a bush. On my front porch, Rodney sipped ginger ale. I drank fine caramel-colored bourbon on the rocks. It's just, he started to say, then stopped. A cheerful bird, bird, bird insistence sprang throughout the leafy branches of my oaks. It's just I didn't want to disappoint my dad. I almost called him son. I almost said, your dad, who surely loves you very much, will understand. I almost cupped a gentle hand across his shoulder as he wept. Except he didn't weep. He started ringing up my things, then Rodney told me what I owed. He bagged my tonic water and my chips, and he, before he counted back my change, apologized. It's just this thing I have to do. Walking to my car, I only heard the chiming clapper of a welcome bell, the sound of gravel crunching underneath my feet. Kind of have a ferocious association with the character in that poem. When I was young, like 5, 6, my mother said, okay, here's a letter, and here's a coin purse. And I want you to mail the letter, I want you to go up to the corner store and buy a loaf of bread. I was like, no problem, got it covered. Walk up to the corner store, throw the coin purse in the mailbox, look at the letter, and shriek. And I cannot mail a letter now without looking at it about 8 times before it goes in the box. Pardon and amnesty. A month ago, ice faceted the willow. Our first forsythia and daffodils were stunned beneath a pellet glaze of sleet. And for a raw few days, the punk of winter fires reclaimed our dismal street. But other flowers now are freshly sunned. Flamingo pink azaleas and the rose. Am I getting feedback? It's only in the hollow head that I have. Never mind. I'll start over. Pardon and amnesty. A month ago, ice faceted the willow. Our first forsythia and daffodils were stunned beneath a pellet glaze of sleet. Thanks, Paul. And for a raw few days, the punk of winter fires reclaimed our dismal street. But other flowers now are freshly sunned. Flamingo pink azaleas and the rose. A dust of violets blurs the college lawn, and all these creamy dogwoods, having tussled out of bud, enjoy a dry, delicious April flood of greenery and shine. A colleague I despise has brought his freshman class outside. Gathered like goslings at his feet, some nod, some pick at grass. Wind flips the unread pages of their books. It's poetry, I overhear him say. The spirit's ancient longing voice, a pure expression of the human soul. He is all hogwash and hot air. But even in the blossom-softened trees, the cardinals and the mockingbirds declare it's just that kind of day. For song, for saying something generous or grand, or at the very least, not small. And Jesus, Anderson, what's wrong with that? Besides, his students tend to like him more than they like you. I wonder when that started being true, or rather when it started meaning less. Like tufted white chiffon, clouds cruise the stained glass blue Ohio sky, and in the golden post-meridian decline of afternoon, groundskeepers weed and mow. To them, we're just 2 lucky bastards who teach twice a week, then take the summers off. Surely we must be chums. Fat chance. No shot in hell. And yet, these days it gets more difficult to find reasons to not be kind. The bitchy, shrill remarks and self-regard, harder to justify. Aprils are fewer now. Perhaps that's why. Or maybe I just finally understand silence and letting be are better things. I should be better at them than I am. That was kind of a teaching poem. This is definitely a teaching poem. It's called Teaching the Merchant of Venice. So, undergraduates used to drink. I don't know if they do anymore. They reek of alcohol and sweat. My Thursday morning students who proclaim it's party week. It's only 8 a.m. Imagine my dismay. Is it so goddamn easy to forget? An inner voice inquires. There won't be this much swearing the rest of the night, I promise. Is it so goddamn easy to forget? An inner voice inquires. That you would have been hung over too. Bloodshot, if even here at all, you self-righteous jerk. Daydreaming about intercourse, longing for bed and leering out on those soft golden cello notes of sun, the mustard yellow maples, and the misty mid-October air. Fine. So I blunder on about the play's sundry problems, Antonio's ennui, these ruthless Christians, and the squeamish coexistence of the comic and the cruel, etc., etc. They bear it with a patient shrug. Not 30 minutes in, I see it shining there. Act 3, Scene 1, ever so slightly coiled, a strand of Susan Kelly's chestnut hair. It is her Shakespeare, after all, or rather it was, until she graduated, packed her life, left me her books and 10-speed bike, then shipped to Africa for mission work. Outside, the glossy autumn morning grows cantankerous with several squabbling crows. Their fracas punctuates the drowsy, leaden silences in here. We'll write, we told ourselves. We'll call. 2 years from now, we'll pick up just where we left off. Things seldom end so well. Hilarious Toledo girl, blue-eyed, briefly imagined college bride who figured that I wouldn't understand the loneliness, the stress, the other boy. They planned, not then exactly, but in time, to be engaged. She cried a little, then was gone. When she apologized, it's true, I didn't understand. Forgive me, Susan Kelly, for the stunned and sulky undergraduate I was. I've certainly forgiven you, wherever you are now, where it is surely apple season too, if not homecoming week, when all our ghosts of being young are born. These sophomores fidget in their seats. Their pens make curlicues, fishnets, primitive huts, flowers in fields. Bassanio, Portia, Tubal, Shylock, all are waiting in another room where love and justice doubt that any of us ever gets it right. I'd like to look her up sometime, not out of jealousy or lust or anything like spite, but maybe just to have a laugh, to say I found this strand of your brown hair, etc., etc. And by the way, I went to Venice once. I saw the White Rialto, the Great Basilica, and the Piazza San Marco. I stood a while and gazed into those questionably green, unsavory waters of the Grand Canal. It was autumn. The light was quite magnificent, a bluish gold. I know that it's been years, and this is anybody's guess, but still, I think you'd like it there. As Liz Van Hoos could tell you, they teach in academic gowns and so on. Still, this fall I was there, I was teaching an academic gown. When I taught this class of freshmen my first year, they're like, would you teach an 8 a.m. class? I'm like, sure, no problem. And freshman English is all Shakespeare at Sewanee. Was not anymore so much, but it was about 95 degrees in my first week of teaching there, and I taught the Merchant of Venice. I'm like, it's going to be great. They're going to love it. I'm going to change their lives. And nobody said a word. And I was in that freaking gown, and all I could do was sweat go down my back. Not one of my greater moments in the classroom. It all got better, though. I used to have this Belgian sheepdog. I have a golden retriever now. He's kind of like a surfer. He's like, whatever. And we live next door. We live next door to a one of my friends in Eugene is a Eugene canine cop, and so my golden retriever will sometimes antagonize the canine cop through our fence. And on the other side of the fence is a 100-pound black German Shepherd. I'm like, Ari, don't do that because it's not going to end well. But I used to have a dog that was very similar to the black German Shepherd. He was a black Belgian sheepdog. And he was sort of he was a tragically devoted dog. The golden retriever, I mean, wouldn't really stop anybody from coming in the house. But this dog was sort of heartbreakingly attached, and I think in part because it was the breed. But he was this beautiful dog. His name was Virgil, and this is about Virgil. It's called Elegy for the Dying Dog. Tomorrow he will die. For now, though, see him drowsing in the shade. A cardinal cracks the red whip of its flight. Frail butterflies, the metal mark, the spice bush swallowtail, are lobbed like painted tissue on the air. The